Even though my career in dog training is still relatively young, I've had the chance to work with a lot of dogs. Different breeds, different temperaments, but most importantly, different people behind them. I've seen success and disasters. I've seen joy, regret, attachment, and burnout. I've seen what happens when things go right and what it costs when they don't. And now I find myself facing a familiar question: should I get a dog? It sounds simple, right? I do this for a living. I know how to train, how to manage behavior, and how to meet a dog's needs. But the truth is, the more experience I gain, the more cautious I become. I've seen how deep the responsibility runs. I know how much of your life a dog truly fills. How many compromises, how many invisible shifts in your routine, your energy, and your freedom. But still, people who have never owned a dog before and never trained one jump in without hesitation. And I kinda envy them a little. That clarity, that certainty, I do not have it. So in this video, I want to take you through what's going on in my head as I consider this decision. As a trainer, but most importantly as an owner. I want to lay out the doubts, the weight, the parts people rarely think about when they are picturing cuddles and long walks. Because for me, this isn't about getting a pet. It's about committing to a presence that will shape the next 15 years of my life in ways I can't fully predict, but need to be ready for. The first thing that is holding me back is time. And I don't mean that vague dogs take timeline that everyone throws around. I mean actual hours. At least 4 hours every day. That's what it takes to give a dog a life worth living. Especially if you don't have a big property or a setup that does half the work for you. So you need time to walk, to train, to play, to observe, and to adjust. Time to be present. Therefore, when I consider getting a dog, I don't fantasize about cuddles, I run the numbers first. So 4 hours a day, every day, for the next 10 to 15 years. If you are working 2 jobs, growing a business, raising kids, or just barely holding your schedule together, where are you going to find those hours? And if you can't find them now, why would they magically appear after the adoption? This is the part no one wants to say out loud, because love sounds noble, right? I will make it work, sounds romantic. But dogs don't just run on love. They run on structure, consistency, interaction, freedom of movement, and if you can't provide that daily, you're not just falling short, you're setting both of you up to fail. So this is the moment where I stop myself, and you should too. Stop and ask, am I actually ready to give up this much time every single day for someone who can't give it back? Not once, not for a month, for years. If that question makes you uncomfortable, don't look away, sit with it. Because that discomfort is the real price of getting it right. And of course, this time factor isn't universal, because it shifts dramatically based on who your dog is. Meaning that the breed, the bloodline, but most importantly the individual dog's temperament all play a massive role. A working line Malinois isn't the same as a Cavalier King Charles, and even with the same breed, one bloodline can produce a dog who needs 2 hours of hard activity just to settle down, while another might be content after a calm, structured walk and a quick puzzle toy. So when I think about getting a dog, it's not just do I want a dog, it's which dog, from where, with what needs baked into his DNA before he even steps into my home. And then there's the human side. Am I living alone, or is the management going to be shared? Because that changes everything. If you live in a family of 4, getting a dog wouldn't necessarily mean 4 hours of your own time. It might mean 1 hour from each person. That's more manageable, that's sustainable. But when the responsibility is all on you, and you're not just the provider, but the only source of structure, movement, and stimulation, then that 4-hour wait hits in full. Every skipped day is your fault. Every unmet need stacks up quietly until it explodes in behavior, stress, or burnout, yours or his. So time is one thing, but effort is another, because even if you have the hours, how much of yourself are you actually able to give during those hours becomes the question. Raising and managing a dog takes more than presence. It takes energy, clear thinking, emotional control, patience, and much more. It means training when you're tired, staying consistent when your head is full, and managing behaviors you didn't really ask for and maybe you don't even fully understand too. And this is where breed and temperament hit even harder than with time. Because depending on the dog, that daily effort can feel light and natural or relentless. A calm, balanced dog with a resilient nervous system might make life feel smooth even when you're doing the basics, but a dog with high arousal, low tolerance for frustration, or poor genetic nerve, that dog becomes a full-time mental project. You will need structure, foresight, creativity. You will be doing preemptive management, not just reactive corrections. And the biggest mistake that you can make is assuming that you will shape the dog. Because the truth is, the dog will shape you. His needs, his sensitivities, his instincts, they will bend your routine, your mindset, and your lifestyle. So when people choose a dog based on image or breed reputation, they rarely think about what it means to live with that kind of temperament. Not train it, not play with it, but live with it. That's where resentment can creep in. And once resentment enters a relationship, the connection starts to rot quietly. You can still feed him, still walk him and love him, but something subtle breaks, and fixing that takes even more effort. So when you think about getting a dog, it shouldn't just be do I have time, it has to be do I have the depth, do you have the headspace, the patience, the structure in your life to meet the dog where he is. Not just when it's easy, but when it's draining. Can you stay consistent when you're overwhelmed? Can you give without needing a result right away? Because if you can't, you need to know that effort doesn't disappear. It just falls on the dog. And that's not fair. But at the end, what really sits with me, what weighs the most, isn't the effort or the daily time that I have to invest. It's the timeline, the length, the commitment. Because this isn't about making space in your week. This is about making space in your life. You're not adopting a moment, you're choosing a relationship that will exist for the next 10 to 15 years. Through changes in your work, your personal life, your physical health, and your priorities. Through new seasons, setbacks, and moments where you won't be the same person you're today. And he will still be there, waiting for his walk, his routine, his structure, his connection, every single day. That's the part I can't ignore. And that's the part you shouldn't ignore either. So this is why the single most important decision, the one that makes or breaks this entire contract, is what kind of dog you're actually considering to bring into your life. Because like we've said throughout this video, the breed, the bloodline, and the temperament, they don't just influence your lifestyle, they determine the intensity of your commitment. They dictate the hours, the energy, the adaptability you will need. They are the difference between a sustainable bond and a silent burnout. So if you take one thing from this video, let it be this. Don't start by asking, do I want a dog? That's not the right question. Start by asking, what kind of dog could I live with, work with, and grow with for the next 15 years? And answer it honestly, because that answer is the foundation of everything else. And if you are at that stage, if you're seriously considering getting a dog, but you're unsure what kind, what breed, what temperament fits your life, feel free to reach out. I'm always open to helping someone make the right decision before they bring a dog home. So if this video gave you something to think about, consider subscribing. There's a lot more coming and I would absolutely love to have you on this journey. See you in the next one.